Getting the countdown? All right, let's welcome everybody on Kabbalah.com, Facebook, Spiritual Sunday. All right, that's it. Let them hear you in Norway and all over the Middle East. It's still shocking. I know I tell you very often, but I can stand here and look through this little device and reach people all over the world. From the Middle East, the Far East, we have people in Hong Kong and Manila, where I'll be traveling in a couple weeks to meet the students there. So they're up now. For them, it's 11 p.m. So imagine, they're staying up and they got to go to work tomorrow, but they're dedicated and committed enough, and we do enough good for them. They're up watching us. So let's give them a little extra energy around the world too. All the people watching. Okay, so as we do, we're going to shift our consciousness with our affirmation. And remember, you can do it anytime you want and any other aspects of meditation that you do, but we want to do this collectively so that we can raise the consciousness of all humanity. So if you join me together, consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. All right. So we're already sending out to the world. Just think how much chaos we've just stopped. Okay. Yes. Think, what are the odds of winning the lottery? Right? Whatever it is, hundreds of millions to one, things like that. But what you and I do here, and even what we just did, as simple as it seems to us in the physical materiality of things, what we just did by awakening a higher consciousness and literally radiating that out to 7.5 billion people, don't you think it's possible that at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people received that awakening, and because of that awakening, they decided to act with greater love, kindness, and compassion, a little less chaos, a little less short-temperedness, etc., a little less selfishness. So everything we're doing that's shining light into the world, we are affecting people all over the world. Don't ever deny that you are changing the world, as we'll talk a little more today. So I want to start with a joke. So you ready? I don't know if I am, okay. So this very simpleton walks into the doctor's office and is complaining to the doctor that his body hurts all over. He doesn't know what it is, but it hurts everywhere. So the doctor's a little surprised. So he takes him in the examining room and he says, "Here, let me show you." So the simpleton starts doing like this. Ouch, 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 ouch. He touches his body all over and he keeps screaming. So the doctor examines him, looks at him and says, "Oh, no, I'm so sorry. It's not really your whole body aches." He says, "The problem is your finger is broken." Okay. I like that. Exactly. So sometimes we kind of act the same way, don't we? We talk about here, who's the only person that decides our destiny? We are. So if we walk around life and we're doing like this, oh, it hurts at work, it hurts at home, it hurts here, we got to realize what? It's us. Something in us is disconnected, and that's what we want to talk about today. So I want to start with a Bible verse, and I want to make sure I get it right. So you can look it up. It's Exodus 15:26. We're going to start out. Those of you who are new, the Kabbalists teach us the Bible is true. We do believe things happened the way they happen physically, but that's just barely the tip of the iceberg. What they were really doing for us is setting things in motion spiritually so that you and I, thousands of years later, would be able to follow their example as we look through the code of the Bible. We look through it to find out what was really going on. So it says like this, and he says, "If you will listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I," meaning God, "will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." So we want to ask something, because Kabbalistically, and this is where we'll start to understand a little more the code of the Bible. If you and I understand, as we teach here, that the Creator is only good and is only spiritual light, so how could the Creator create disease? But that's what it says. Listen to me, do what I want, and then I won't bring disease on you like I brought on the Egyptians, the 10 plagues, etc. So if you think of it Kabbalistically, does that make any sense? Not at all. Because the Creator light cannot bring darkness. Where in our world does light bring darkness? Nowhere. So then what is it talking about? How can it say, God, put on Egypt all those diseases? So now we've got to start understanding then. We know there are diseases. We know there's various kinds of ailment. So as today we're going to understand more and more of what brings them on, then we can transform them. We can heal them. But if a person doesn't know the cause of the ailment, they can't heal it, can they? I mean, why do people go to doctors? Because they hope that the doctor has learned some form of technology in order to heal whatever the ailment is. Which means what? What is it really saying about medicine? Be careful. Ideally, right, medicine should understand the technology of the physiology of the body, so then they can diagnose and treat whatever's wrong. Just like a mechanic. What is the purpose of a mechanic when you take your car to the mechanic? They have to know the technology of the car to find out what's wrong so they can go in and fix it. So then we're all looking for that sense of healing, but you and I have come more and more to understand it's not about anything outside of us. It's about inside of us, and that's where we're going. Because if the light, if the Creator created us as beings of light, pure and perfect beings of light in its image and likeness, as they say, then it's about you and I. It can't be about anything out there, and the light cannot bring darkness in any way, shape, or form. So then how does darkness and chaos come about? How does illness and disease take place? How can we see what's going on in the world, all these plagues and the diseases and the problems? How many of you are older than 20? So how many of you have ever seen in your lifetime new diseases popping up? Exactly. They start to get a handle on one disease, and suddenly there's a new disease. And then they start to get a handle on that disease, and there's another disease. So you and I have come to be spiritual detectives because we have an understanding of the technology, and we know that it cannot just be about the outside. Think simply. Kabbalah says what? What did we just affirm? Consciousness is everything. Last week we spoke about our thoughts create our reality. So how do we see that physically? How can we understand that it's you and I who create the good in our life, or unfortunately not? Very simple. Pregnant pause. No. What did the Creator give us that we don't want to let go of? Free will. How many of you want to be told what to do every minute of the day, every moment? No, I'm just looking at nobody? You sure? So here comes the key though. When you don't know the answer to something, it's not clear to you what the right decision is for your highest good, then what do you want? Do you want the Creator to give you free will, or are we thinking a little bit in that moment, no, take away my free will, just do the best thing for me? Oh, yeah, okay, right. But in that moment, if you say, okay, sign away all your free will, would you do it? No. So we can't pick and choose when we want free will, when we don't want free will. We have to always use our free will. But sadly, outside of the Kabbalah Center, most people don't understand how to use their free will. Because what are they really doing? Like we used to? Choosing the same action over and over and over again. But this looks like this job, this looks like this relationship, this looks like this place, this looks like this area of my life. And we think it's all different. Because the outside is different. But we're really just doing the same thing over and over again because we didn't understand that we had to change. So even in science, and I don't know how many people really grasp consciousness is everything, but I remember when I was a kid, there was something called psychosomatic illness. Well, now let's stop and think Kabbalistically. What are they saying? As a person believes they have some kind of ailment, what does the body do to oblige them? Gives it to them. One of the things, most of you know, I was on my way to be a doctor many, many years ago. So one of the typical things that we heard back then, I don't know if it's still true, was that every medical student, when they got into medical school and they were studying the symptoms of all the diseases, suddenly they had every disease there was in the book. Because they were so focused on the symptoms, what this caused, and this, and this, and this, and this, they started to manifest it in them. And then, of course, they get scared because everyone's got all these horrible diseases. But psychosomatic illness is telling us what? Consciousness is everything. Our thoughts create our reality. So you and I are just learning how to do that in a positive way. Let's understand our thoughts create reality. And so we want to learn here how to change our thoughts. Because every thought we have directs our choice. Doesn't it? Yes. You wake up in the morning. How many of you ever woke up in a bad mood? Wrong side of the bed. The rest of you never did, huh? Good. Tell me which side of the bed that is. I want to know. Even if I have to roll over my wife, I'll get off on that side, right? If that takes being in a good mood. But you wake up in a bad mood, the wrong side of the bed, what does the rest of the day tend to be if you don't change it? Kind of bad. You look at things bad. It's not so nice. You're looking at everything. If your thought is already a bad mood, then you perceive everything in a negative way. Somebody doesn't give you what you want or looks at you differently, or the person who always smiles at you happen to walk down the hall and not smile at you, what goes on in your mind? Oh, what's the matter? They don't like me anymore. And right away we're interpreting everything in a bad way. You wake up on the right side and you're in a good mood like we are here. Now when you leave here in even a better mood, then the things that might before have annoyed you aren't going to annoy you anymore. Because you and I are making the choice to see everything filled with light. And therefore, no matter what looks on the outside, we can connect to the light in it. And we can draw the light in it. And that's the key. So then if we go back to this idea that a person stays healthy and vital when they're channeling the light of the Creator, they're letting it flow metaphorically from the upper worlds, through them and out into this world, then we'll stay healthy and vital. But when there's a disconnect, right? How many of you have ever charged your cell phone? I'm just trying to get them all to raise their hand one time or another, but I don't know. Maybe you guys can help. You charge your phone, so if you think about it, the moment that you pull it out of the charger and you go out to use it, in a simple way, what's happening to that battery moment to moment? It's dying. It didn't die yet, but it's dying. So the moment a person disconnects themselves from the infinite light of the Creator, the light of their soul, then slowly, slowly, there is also a form of dying in whatever way that person needs to experience. So then our work is, we understand, where is the infinite light of the Creator? That's the hint. Where is the infinite light of the Creator? Yes. Okay. See, even though they're all over the world, I hear them louder. Where is the infinite light of the Creator? It's everywhere. So where can we not plug into it? Where can we not charge ourselves up? Where can we not stay connected? Everywhere. That's it. Everywhere we can. What's the only thing that disconnects us then? Us. So we stay connected with the light of the Creator by doing what? Acting like the Creator. It's a simple concept. Like will attract like. That's why we're always affirming what? Greater. Not to say we never do it. Not to say we've done negative things. But greater acts of love, kindness, and compassion. Forgiveness and tolerance and generosity and humility. The greater actions we do, the more we're plugged into the spiritual infinite supply. So acts of godlike behavior from the soul, let's call it, the soul's influence, will keep us constantly connected to that light. So we're always charged up, right? Why do you think, think of it. If we could always stay charged up that way, what happened physically that allows us to do the same thing? Years ago, how did you plug in your cell phone when you first got it? In your office, in your home, etc. Then you took it out, right? And then slowly, slowly it's dying. Then some brilliant person received the idea from the cosmos and they created a car charger, right? So now, even when you leave your house or your office, you can charge your phone all along the way, right? And then what did they come up with? Now they got these little things, right? That's like a charged battery that you carry with you. It's an extra supply. So even in a physical way, where can we not be connected to a charging for our phone battery? It's manifesting the spiritual pattern. We can be charged and connected to the light anywhere. So then, what's the issue? Because we have free will when a person behaves from the body consciousness, which is separate. Because my body tells me I'm separate from your body. I'm separate from the 7.5 billion people on the planet. My soul tells me we're all connected. My body says we're separate. So then the actions from the body, the actions that are opposite of the Creator, hurt, anger, resentment, chaos, fear, jealousy, ego, etc., guilt and shame, those disconnect us from the light of the Creator. And therefore, slowly, slowly, things start to take place. Just like the cell phone, it doesn't happen immediately. It takes time. It takes time, over time. I think I shared with you once, I had an aunt that for years and years, since I was a child, the thing that she always kept repeating, forget about it. Aunt Dorothy, why this or this? Forget about it. Aunt Dorothy, didn't you say you were going to stop smoking? And what are you smoking about? Forget about it. And all her life, that was Aunt Dorothy. Forget about it. So when she got in her 60s, guess what? Forget about it. Yeah, she had Alzheimer's, couldn't remember a thing. But it didn't happen overnight. It took years and years. Piece by piece by piece, it all added up until she didn't remember her husband's name. She lived in the same apartment for like 30 years. She could walk out in New York, walk out the door, go to the trash chute, couldn't find her way back. Things like that. We have to understand, and we're learning here the power of our thoughts, the power of the light. So in the same way there's a disconnect, how soon or how quickly can we reconnect? Instantly, because where is the infinite light? Everywhere. Where is our charger? It's inside of us, so we can plug in everywhere. All we have to do is go back to those actions of God-like behavior. Love, kindness, compassion, etc. We reconnect ourselves. Now, when a person goes to the doctor or a mechanic or whatever repair person, what is it that we're saying? We want them to, number one, make sure they know the system. And then two, they have to diagnose what's wrong. So how are they diagnosing? Based on what? By whatever your complaint is. You take your cell phone and you say, well, it doesn't turn on. So now they start looking in their technology, the system, and they figure, okay, what could the problem be? Right? You go to the auto mechanic. You say, well, the car's making a funny noise here or here or here. So the same thing, they've got to diagnose what it is. And from that, they'll be able to cure it, right? So what about spiritually? As we're learning now, everything begins and ends in our mind. Nothing begins or ends in the outside. It begins or ends in our mind. So the Kabbalists, because they understood all this, they gave us a few hints. Diagnoses for our different ailments. So I just want to share a couple with you. Anybody, any type of liver ailment, right? It's not the liver. It's not just what people eat or drink or what have you. That's already an effect, right? That's an effect. In fact, anyone here ever been under stress? Oh, now all the hands are going up. Okay, couldn't get them up for anything else, right? What's stress mean? Let's think about it. Stress means the body and the soul are fighting with each other. Stress is the body and the soul fighting with each other. Because the soul wants to share and the body wants to receive for itself. Right? The body is concerned only about this space here. The soul is open to every human being throughout the physical world and the entire universe. So stress is when the two forces are fighting with each other. That's stress. So of course, if there's stress, we know today, even in the 20th century, they told us, people under mental stress, some kind of stress in their life, what do they get? Some kind of ailment, right? They manifest some kind of ailment. Again, thoughts create the reality. Psychosomatic illness in that same way. So when the body and the soul fighting with each other, it can't be good. Can't be good. So then the Kabbalists tell us, a person who has a liver ailment is because they have anger, either expressed or repressed. So you know somebody or the doctor warns somebody, got to start watching out. Don't say, and again, for those of you who are new, don't believe what we're saying, but I ask you don't just dismiss it either. At least understand, learn, and then go out and try it and see how it works. So that's one. The other thing is, you know anybody with high or low blood pressure? Exactly. So the physical is manifest from the spiritual. So whether it's self-loathing or it's resentment towards others, will manifest as high or low blood pressure. So it's not just about dealing with the outside or just taking the medicine. We'll get to that also. It's understanding where's the root. Where's the root? Because here we're not treating the symptoms. We're treating the cause. The other thing is, anyone know somebody with back issues? Becoming much more common, unfortunately. And the Kabbalists, of course, make it very simple. A person lacks appreciation for the blessings in their life or the power of the Creator in them. That lack of appreciation will cause back problems. Now, those of you who have teachers, if you have to discuss something or ask questions, that's why you have teachers here in the center when you're students in the center, right? And start discussing the issues with them. But I'm asking you, don't just dismiss it and say, well, that's not true, I do appreciate, or I don't, because we all have some aspects of it. And remember, it's greater and greater, because we all want 100%. So even when a person's at 90% of their potential, there's still going to be some issue. Maybe there's pieces of resentment left. Maybe there's still pieces of guilt or shame, which is like that self-loathing that changes the blood pressure, etc. Could be hiding somewhere. But what I'm driving at is the Kabbalists already give us ways and means to diagnose what's going on with us by the external. So we can go back and deal with the internal, because that's where we need to go. The Zohar also teaches us something very powerful. The cure always comes before the ailment. The solution always comes before the problem. Always. The issue is, how many of you ever been in a bad relationship? How many of you remember looking back after the relationship broke up and saying, oh, I remember they said, they did, whatever it was, but I didn't see it. I didn't acknowledge it. Why not? The cure was there. You saw it looking back. You saw they said or they did something that should have been a big red flag, but you didn't see the red flag. Why? Because you are so enamored with the person. You felt so good in the relationship that maybe you hadn't been in, and this person, oh, it was great just to be in a relationship. So your five senses were blocked and you didn't see the red flag till after the fact, and then you looked. And you say, oh, I should have seen it. And then you tell yourself what? The famous line, I'll never do that again. Till the next time, right? Now you're looking for that type of red flag, but you don't see the next one is just a red flag, just a little different part, a little different area. So you and I are learning how to be aware of it. So it's just to be on the, how many of you ever left the house, you're already locked the door in the car, pulling out of the driveway, and you get that thought, take your umbrella. And you say, come on, it's too sunny here. And you drive out, and 3 hours later, of course, you're stuck in a downpour. The cure always came before the problem. It always comes that way. And sometimes it doesn't always look nice, but it's still the cure before the problem. Have one student just told me about 6 months ago, yeah, they were on the path, they were learning, scanning, doing all the right things. All of a sudden he starts to develop digestive issues, right? So he goes to the doctor, he starts treating it, he's doing his scanning, continuing on with it. And what did he do? He started to diet and exercise. He lost a lot of weight, all right? He just told me now, about 2 weeks ago, he had a heart attack. Oh, but wait, that's not the end of the story. It was miraculous because all the things came exactly at the right time in the right moment that he had no issue with the heart attack. He was right there by the hospital for whatever the reason was, without the details. He and his wife were there. He started to feel this coming on, and it was the exact right hospital with the exact right doctors that were able to take him right in, deal with it in simple terms. They put in a stent, but how did he tell me? They put it in like very simply. They didn't have to go through, major surgery. They didn't have to put him under major anesthesia either. And they handled it like this, and everything was okay. So the cure came before the problem, but in his case, the cure actually came through the digestive issue. Now, thank goodness, he's free of both. His heart is strong, his digestion is strong, everything's there. Because whatever happened, whatever he needed to go through, but he went through with the light. He went through with consciousness. He went through always holding on to, wherever I go, what's there? The infinite light I can plug in all the time. So as long as he stayed plugged in, he was able to heal himself, bring about the healing. Because not always does the healing come just by the light. I think I had told you years and years ago, all my life I grew up with strep throat, tonsillitis, what's the other one? Strep throat, tonsillitis, laryngitis, all the things like this. So me and antibiotics were very friendly. Got to a point when I first started on my spiritual journey that I figured, okay, mind over matter. So I had an ear infection. So of course the doctor wants to give me antibiotics. I'm saying, no, I'm going to cure it myself. So I'm meditating. It's not going away. And the pain's getting stronger and stronger. So I finally gave in. I went to the doctor because I didn't understand Kabbalah at that time. So I go to the doctor gives me antibiotics, and I remember to this day looking at that pill with such anger and resentment, because in my mind, what did it represent? My failure. My failure to just use, right, my meditations to get rid of this ear infection. So I took the antibiotic, and about an hour and a half later, all my joints swelled up, right? I had prickly heat everywhere. I gave myself an allergic reaction. Psychosomatic illness again. So I came to understand it's not always, and just so you don't get the wrong idea, Kabbalah is not against medicine or doctors. Because sometimes the light of the Creator will work through the right doctor, like this man I told you about. He happened to be right there at the right time with the right doctors, etc. So yes, for whatever reason, and we don't know why his karma was he had to have the heart attack, but it was like, came and went like this. Maybe it was just to give us a miracle to share with each other here, to inspire us to understand, yes, the cure always comes first. So there's a story in the Zohar, and now in the 21st century, you'll appreciate it even more. There's a story, and these stories come in its written form 2,000 years ago. So one of the students of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, the person who channeled, if you will, the Zohar into physical written form, so one of his students is out, as they always do. If you read the Zohar, you'll see they're always traveling somewhere, walking somewhere. So they're walking by a field, and they see this man gathering herbs. So they run to the man, because they know it's a sign from the Creator, and they say, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm gathering these herbs because these herbs have power of healing. He says, really? He says, you don't know how much power are in these herbs, right? And think about it. About 30, 40 years ago, what became a big alternative medicine? Herbs. So the students look at him and say, well, but why aren't you telling everybody about this? If there's so much healing power in them, why don't you tell? 2,000 years ago, he says, why? He says, because if I told everybody about the herbs that have healing power, they wouldn't believe in the light of the Creator. They'd only believe in the herb. So the Kabbalists teach us our work is to draw through the physicality, the light of the Creator, to understand that everyone and everything is infused with the light of the Creator, but it's our free choice again. Connect with just the outside, the physicality, or connect on the inside, the light that's there. We can look at the external of people, and let's be honest, all of us, because of our backgrounds, we can have that first moment of judging right away. Oh, look at them, they must be. And we already make an assessment. It doesn't matter in which way, shape, or form, but we do. You and I are learning, stop. Yes, that may have been from my past. I had that certain thought, or maybe even from a past life, and I don't even realize it, but I have that first thought. Now what are we learning here? Stop, see through the outside, see the light of the Creator inside that soul. Understand that they're a part of me. They're a part of us. So I want to reach in their soul, and I want to access that light, because then I'm constantly charging myself with the light of the Creator. So we want to keep seeing through the illusion. Don't just get caught in the illusion. Had another woman told me a couple months ago, she had a friend, a family member, with some very rare disease. So rare they couldn't find a doctor who treats it. But it was a deadly disease. So she's scanning, she gives one of the little pocket Zohars, right, to her family. All her family members start scanning. And again, the light will come through people, through things many times. So they're doing the scanning, and she's continuing to Google and look and trying to find what to do. And guess what? Of course, popped out one doctor not far from where they were who actually is a specialist in this particular ailment. So they were able to get to the doctor. So again, we're not against doctors or medicine, but we're here to understand that's not the cure. That's not the only solution. All right? So then the solution comes back. If we really want to be healed, what do we have to do? We have to unstress ourselves by reuniting the soul and the body, not separate it. That's why the Kabbalists never taught us, run out somewhere, go isolate yourself in some part of the world and be by yourself. Like deny the body, deny the physicality. No, the Kabbalists were the ones who got into life. If you're not involved in life, then you cannot achieve your spiritual goal. You cannot achieve your spiritual mission. Because our mission is, in the endless world, we were all one. Our mission on this earth is to be one again. And that's why we're learning, reach out to every person on earth. As you're scanning, as you're meditating, as you're praying, reach to their soul. Because if we're connected to 7.5 billion light forces in the souls of all those people, then we have the fullest amount of light channeling through us. If we're denying ourselves sending light to certain people for whatever the reason, and we all have good reason not to, but there is no good reason on a spiritual level. Because if we're not sending light to every person, especially the ones we don't like, especially the ones that push our buttons, then they're not losing because their life is in their hands and ours is in ours. So we have to especially send light and reach out to the soul of those people that we have the most against, or the people that we have the most judgment towards, or the ones that we see are doing such negative things. No, I don't want any association. So that's right. We don't want to associate with their outside, with their physicality. We want to associate with the light in their soul, because that light in their soul is our power of healing. And once we're uniting the body and the soul more and more, then the light of the soul, which is pure and perfect, which is that infinite light, that will reach into the body, and the body will rejuvenate and regenerate itself to immortality. The body was meant to live at least 1,000 years. Yeah, everybody laughing. Ha, 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 ha. 1,000 years. Who wants to be that old? But what if you look like you were 26 or 30? Oh, now all of a sudden, okay, yeah, now you're talking. Now you're talking, right? Exactly. But that's what the body's meant to do. The body's and how do we know? Think of it. The first thought is, nah, I doubt it. How can it be, etc. But look what they're finding now, the last number of years. Inside our own body are what they call stem cells. What are the stem cells? The original undifferentiated cells of a human being. So now they're working to stimulate, one, to find them and then activate them. Because a stem cell is not just a liver cell or a lung cell or a brain cell or a nerve cell or a muscle cell. That stem cell can become any part of the body it needs to be. And so that's why they're going back to the stem cells. Well, hello, where are we? Kabbalah Center. What are we teaching? Go back to your original stem cell, the light of the Creator in you. Start activating that through more sharing actions, unconditional love, and the body will follow because it already has everything it needs, even physiologically. There's nothing that can't be healed with enough light, but we have to put the body and the soul together. And that's why even when you're scanning your Zohar, you're awakening the light in your soul, and then what? You're sending it through you out to everybody on earth. So you're activating and uniting the physical and the spiritual. You're overcoming the illusion that those are those people and this is you. That they are the bad people and you're the good people. No, everybody has a soul filled with light. And that's the part we want to access, because that allows us then to maintain health and vitality. While we're on the subject of uniting the body and the soul, healing isn't just physiologically. You raised your hands before, you had a bad relationship. Have trouble in a business, have discord even between you and the person in the mirror. That's also a form of ailment, is it not? That's also a disconnect of the body and the soul. So we're here to unite the body and the soul in every way, shape, or form, because we need more healing than just physical. What good does it do to have a healthy, vital body and a miserable relationship? Or no peace of mind? Or financial difficulties? Is that any better? Oh, what about the other way? So a person has millions of dollars, right? All the money and the physicality they can use, but their health suffers, or their relationships aren't good, or their children giving them problems. That also good? No, that's the beauty. If we'll work towards the light and we'll work to channel the light can fix everything. It'll give us, we've always told stories, people who've healed their relationships, people who've helped their family members change. So the light is the healing essence. The light will remove the darkness. It's not about just the physicality, and it's not just about our physical body. It's about having healing in every area of life, because we don't want to limit it. What happens if there's 7.5 billion healthy individuals on the planet? No more disease. Does that immediately take away hatred and negativity? No, not in and of itself. But if we awaken the soul of people and we activate the soul inside every person, then what happens? Then the soul will heal them. The soul will make them feel the negativity, the pain of their negative actions, and that will change them. I was sharing with the group, I do a few minutes before we have this event. So I was sharing the nice story from the Bible. Jacob and Esau, two brothers. We're the family of humanity. Every one of us come from one creator, whatever name we give it or perception we have of it. But there's one creator, we're all family. So Jacob and Esau were fighting. Esau hated Jacob because of what he perceived Jacob did to him. So he was out to kill him. So the story says Jacob ran away and this and this. Finally, they came to the point where Jacob was ready to meet Esau. What did he do first? He didn't just go meet him and say, look, I'm really sorry, whatever you did. No. He didn't wait to meet him. He already started sending. It says, if you read it carefully, he sent messengers to his brother. He sent messengers to Esau. Well, the Kabbalistic code for that is he sent him angels. He sent angels to Esau. But what are angels? The power of the light. He sent light to Esau, so he reached into Esau's soul where he knows, like we're learning, inside Esau was a pure and perfect being. So he reached into his soul, he activated the light in his soul, and then read, when they met, what did he do? The only thing Esau could do was hug and kiss his brother. Not because that was his original thought, not because he forgave his brother, but his brother sent him so much light. The only thing that could come through Esau was love and kindness, care and compassion. And therefore, he was forced from within himself to hug and kiss his brother. We want to heal the world. Look at the world. Is the world not sick? I mean, if you look at it generally, there's chaos everywhere. There's billions of good people in the world, the vast majority. But there are those few out there that are out rabble-rousing in whatever way we want to call it, creating ailment in the body of humanity. So our job, like us, I mean, heaven forbid, a person has a diseased liver, let's say. We talked about it. So yes, it's a repressed anger or expressed anger, etc., but it's only the liver. It's only a small portion of the entire physicality of the body. So how come a person who has a liver ailment just doesn't dismiss it? Oh, it's only a little bit. What the heck? It's kind of stupid, no? Because that little piece affects all the body. So the same thing, every human being on earth affects all the body of humanity. That's why you and I don't want to leave out anybody. The world is having its ailment. The vast majority of people, good, kind people, but they don't have this technology either. They don't know how to heal the world. You and I are learning. And I want to leave you with this idea. Kabbalistically, in the Aramaic, the word for sickness, chole, is numerically 49. And yes, there is an aspect of Kabbalah that's called gematria, which is numerology. So before you start thinking of all the woo-woo stuff of numerology, like I learned from my teachers, the Rav and Karen. Anybody here ever seen or studied physics? What's the language of physics? Numbers! Numbers, this and this and this and this and that. Okay, so it's the same thing. But we think, well, science, physics is science and numerology is some woo-woo stuff. No, the Kabbalist, everything is spiritual science beyond what the scientists know. So the word for sickness is numerically 49. The word for health, 50. 50. Just one thing is missing. One piece is missing. And that's why the Kabbalists encourage people, if you know somebody who's sick, go and visit. Because when you visit somebody and you're thinking to channel the light to them, you could be the one that adds to their sickness that now makes them whole. So then let's think about it on a collective level. The body of humanity is sick. Parts of it has an ailment. But we want to have the whole of humanity healthy. So each and every one of us have the capability to add our one to humanity that will stop some of the disease, just like in a body. Maybe a person with 2 or 3 things going wrong, but as they're channeling the light and they're overcoming their anger or their guilt or their shame or whatever, start to heal a few parts of it, so maybe there's 1 thing left. So then they have that 1 more. So there's not a single person on earth who can't be that one for someone and someones all around the world. But today, as we're understanding the power of healing, let's understand, as it says, I, God, am the healer. Meaning, in our terms, the light is the healer. As we will channel the light, that's the healing energy. So we have the capability today to go out and be healers of humanity. Not just healers of ourselves or healers of our family and friends, but we can look at the world as at the level of 49. And it only takes 1 more of us to do 1 more act of kindness to tilt the balance for every human being on earth. And that's when the entire world will be healthy and vital, because you and I are now learning how to be that pure and perfect channel of the light of the Creator, that we can go out and we can be the one that will heal all humanity forever. God bless. So I just want to share with you before we do our offering, and those of you who are watching, as you know, this is the most important thing, is the Zohar. The mission of the center is to spread the Zohar around the world. And I'd just like to tell you a quick story about the Zohar that happened recently. We have a student here. I don't remember now if I told you, but anyway, it's always good to hear it again. We have a student who had 2 eye operations. All right? She had something went wrong with her eyes. It was a very major operation. In fact, she kind of described it. They had to take the eyeball out, work on it, and then put it back. And they did that to the other one. So they couldn't do both at the same time. They didn't want to do both at the same time. So the first one, she knew when it was going to happen, right? They set the date or whatever it is. So she went in with her Zohar. Her friends and family were scanning for her. She had not just the pocket Zohar, but she had from the whole set of Zohar, one of these books like this, out of the set, the one on healing. So the first time she goes in for the operation, she goes in, the operation goes well. About 3-4 days, she's almost fully recovering. Very short time. The doctors were amazed. Then she's ready for the second one. So she went in for an exam, and the doctor said, we have to do the operation now. So she wasn't prepared in the same way. Same surgery, same doctors, same operating room, everything was identical. The only thing that was missing was the Zohar. The operation went well, but her healing, and she gave me permission to tell you this story because she understood very clearly. The only difference between the first and the second was the presence of the Zohar, which is intensifying the light that she brought through the doctors and the nurses and the operating room and the whole thing. Her healing took about 4 weeks. So it was a marked difference between with the light of the Creator through the Zohar and without the light of the Creator, without the Zohar. So this is why what we're doing in the center is to spread the Zohar everywhere, so we can gather more and more people from around the world, because as the Zohar goes out, it's activating the souls of people. And that's how some of you have come along, because whether you realize it or not, when there's more light out there and your soul gets awakened, you start to hear about. You could have heard about Kabbalah for years. You could have heard about the center, but it didn't move you yet. But as you hear it and the light is intensifying, suddenly you say, that's it. I'm going to show up, either Spiritual Sunday, I'll come to the classes, I'll come in here, I'll come and look, see what it is. So we're bringing people. That's how we get all these people watching here. The same thing, it's just the light does the job. Our work is just to spread it. So it takes your support to make that happen. Those of you out there, yes, so it's contributing to the center. It's also telling people about it. Share it in every way, shape, or form, because it's good. We're causing more light for our world, because the more people we're activating the light, the more comes back to us, and we're transforming the world. That's how we can change. In the 30 years I'm in the center, we started with 3 small offices in the world. In fact, probably all 3 centers together were not much bigger than this room. That's how I started 30 years ago. And there were 14 teachers in the world, and that was it, a couple hundred students. Now we've got students of all backgrounds, did I tell you about the Zohar class in Beirut, Lebanon? No. About 2 months ago, we had our first Zohar class, Energy of the Week, over the internet with students in Beirut, Lebanon. I mean, imagine what that takes. It's not us. The Rav and Kara have taught me for 30 years. Our job is just to channel the light. The light will make all the things happen. So the right people come along at the right time to set all these things up. Getting Zohar into Iran, getting these people to connect from Beirut, Lebanon, or all over the Middle East or the Far East. We have people I know for sure from Manila and Hong Kong watching. I've shared with you, we have people who've contacted me from Norway, Denmark. I mean, like, how do we get there? Can I tell you one more quick story? I spent my second year as a teacher, I spent 6 months with 3 other teachers knocking on doors in London, England, and throughout England, right? We didn't have a center there then, right? Back then there was just New York, LA, and Israel. But a West Indian man had a dream in London about the word Zohar. Imagine, it was so powerful that he didn't stop until he found out what this Zohar was, because he had no concept. He asked everybody he knew, till finally somebody told him, I think it has something to do with Kabbalah. So he went to a Jewish bookstore, he asked them about the Zohar, and don't ask me how, we don't know to this day, how one of the books, the Kabbalah Center books, got to a bookstore in London, England, because we had no contact there, we had no reason to ship them there. But there was one book he found on Kabbalah. He picked up the book, he saw our address in New York, he wrote and he says, please send teachers here. I have a second apartment, I'll give them a car, I will take care of them. You come here and spread Kabbalah. Based on that dream of the word Zohar, 4 of us spent 6 months in England, hosted by this gentleman and his family, to knock on doors to spread the wisdom of Kabbalah. That's how it reaches out. It's not about us, it's about channeling the light, and as each of us do that right thing, more of those kinds of blessings will come to us. Things out of unexpected. You know, we call them now synchronistic. What does that really mean? We don't want to say coincidence, right? Because coincidence means random. But synchronistic is the same thing, only we took the random out. But the word coincidence doesn't mean random, it just means 2 things happening at the same time. Synchronistic. Synchronicity. We create that as we're shining more light, as we're acting with more light, as we're spreading more light. And that's why this is so powerful, and I want to constantly share these stories with you and the people watching, because you cannot lose by investing in the center, because we are literally concerned, as you are now, with 7.5 billion people to remove the pain and suffering forever and ever. And that's the power of what we're doing. So that's why we always also take this moment. Whatever you'd like to contribute, it's your hand going out to 7.5 billion people through what we're doing here, right? And we appreciate everything that you do give us because it empowers us to do that, right? Okay, so let's take a few moments. Whatever your gift is, if you hold it in your hands, we'll take a few moments to put our higher consciousness into it. It is a free will offering. Those of you who are online, you're welcome to go to the website to make your contribution, but also just join us for a few moments in this blessing. So just holding it in your hand, remember, money is a vessel, and that vessel will contain what we put in it. So let's put together collectively and support each other to put greater love, kindness, tolerance, forgiveness, compassion, humility, that energy of unconditional love. We inject it into this gift that will go out through all the branches of the centers to reach out to every person on earth, awakening them to understand the unity and the oneness of humanity, to not only see it in their spiritual and physical eyes, but to act upon it from their soul, opening their heart to greater love and kindness and compassion for all. We send it out acknowledging the Creator, the light force is our source, allowing us to focus on being stronger channels to share it into the world. Creating a world of peace, oneness, and harmony. And we open our eyes and we say, Amen. So let's wish our friends all over the world happy Spiritual Sunday and a great week. Thank you for joining us. Let them hear you like they heard in the beginning. Thank you for joining us. All right. So we'll take a few moments. We'll do our meditation. What you see in front of you here, for those of you who are new, this is one of the 72 names of God. It's built from the light force particles that most people will call Hebrew letters. You see all 72 here to your left, the chart of the 72 names. Each one of them is an activator of a piece of our soul. And as you see here, this one, Mem, He, Shin, the names of the light force particles from right to left, Mem, He, Shin, for healing. Healing in all ways, as we said, reconnecting the soul with the body. And then the healing takes place in and of itself. All right? So just look at it, because they radiate the light of the Creator. Our eyes are the windows to the soul, so we're allowing them by just staring at it, looking at it, letting the energy go through the eyes, activating our soul, beginning to stimulate a new level of healing within us. Just get those shapes in your mind's eye, the names Mem, He, Shin. And then if I can ask you to close your eyes, begin to relax by breathing deeply. Breathing in through the nose, hold the breath for a moment, exhale through the mouth. Just allowing this light force in the air to circulate through you, relaxing. Removing any blockage that you may have been holding, and allowing yourself to just be the pure conduit of the light of the Creator. And now envisioning these light force particles called the Mem, He, Shin. See the light shining through, the infinite light of the Creator. As it radiates, allow it to reach into your heart and soul. Activating the healing energy inside you, the light that the Creator put in your soul. Allow it to be awakened to a new and higher level. Envision that light filling you from head to toe. Activating the Creator's DNA in every cell of your physical body. Healing and rejuvenating. And now envision a beam of light from your heart reaching out to the heart and soul of every person on earth. Activating the Creator's DNA in their soul. Supporting them, supporting all humanity to have the spiritual awakening, to heal their lives. Physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. awakening that infinite light of the Creator inside them, influencing every person on earth to behave with greater unconditional love and sharing. And let's together hold the vision of the world in unity and oneness, as it was in the endless world. We are now manifesting it on earth. Be aware how much more at peace you are now. And keep this sense of peace and contentment with you from this moment forward. The support to heal whatever blockages there may be. Taking one more deep breath to anchor this in forever. And slowly exhale and open your eyes.